Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of Theocritus's Idyll 2, the Pharmaceutica, and we finished at round about line in the 90s here. So we finished about here. We're up to line 94 at the end of the refrain. Kuto tai dolai to alathea muthon elexa. This is from Kai plus Huto, and thus Elexa, I spoke, literally the true word, the true story. So I told the truth, I told the true story, te dolai, this is from Dula, my slave, to my slave girl. So and thus I told the true story to my slave girl. And in inverted commas, aid age thestuli moi kalepas nosso hureti marcos. Come, O Thestulus, hure, aorist imperative, find, tit marcos from marcos, find some remedy for me, and these are genitives here, from this cruel or harsh illness. Pasan ekeme talainan homindios. The Mindian, this is where he's from, so the Mindian literally holds me, holds wretched me, pasan holds all of me. So we might translate it as the Mindian holds poor me completely. So I'm completely in his power. Alamoloisa tereson potitan timagetoio palistran. Alla, always towards the beginning of a sentence, often translated as but. So, but, moloisa for molusa, this is the participle, the mol is the aorist root from blosco. So, but, so come, having gone, and there's our main verb, which is an imperative from terio, to keep, but often to keep watch on. So keep watch, poti for pros, at the wrestling school of Timagetus. Tene and tene. For foite from foitao, he frequents at that place, so he frequents that place, and there, literally, it is understood sweet hoi for him, kathesai, to sit. So he frequents that place and he likes sitting there, he likes relaxing there perhaps. And our refrain, Fradziomu ton eroth hothen hiketo potna selana. Kepe for kai epe, and then ka for kep for an. So kepe kaninionta mathes monon hezokanuson. This is for kai epe, and there, literally, you would learn him being alone. So it's when, so the kai epe, and when you might perceive that he is alone, literally you might learn that he is alone. Nuson, this is nuo, it's to give the nod, another aorist imperative here. So give him the nod. Hazuka, well, literally quietly, but perhaps discreetly here. So make a sign to him discreetly. Kef hoti, this is from kai plus ape, and the epsilon is elided and the pi has been aspirated by the hoti. And say that Simaitha tu kale, Simaitha calls you. The tu here is like set, it's the accusative form here. Kai hoop agio teide, this is from hoop ago, and again it's an imperative, uncontracted, so, and lead him here, teide, so bring him here. Hos ephemen, and thus I spoke. He de einthe kai agageton liparokron eis emadormata Delphin. And she went and she brought the smooth-skinned Delphis to my house. Ego de nin hos enoesa, artithuras huper hudon me bominon podi kufo, and then it breaks off. But I, when I spied, when I saw him, nin for auton, him, it's a me bominon is to exchange, but it's often used in the sense of crossing. So stepping across the threshold, the udon, of my door. So the arti is just as. So that I, just when I noticed him crossing over the threshold of my door, podi kufo, literally with his light foot, and then we get a break for the refrain. Frasdio moi ton eroth hothin hiketo potna salana. Passamin epsukthen kionos pleon. Ek metopo hydros mu koku desken ison notiisi ersais. So this is the verb here. Psukesthai is to become freezing cold, to be chilled. So I was chilled, became colder, more, and then genitive comparison here, more than snow, from kion. So I became colder than snow, became completely cold, more than snow. And hydros, sweat. It's a funny verb here, it's kokudeo, and we've got the skirt, the iterative skirt here, because it's happening continuously. So it means to stream forth, and the skirt probably copiously or something. So sweat poured forth copiously from my brow, the bit between the eyes, from my brow, like to literally a wet dew, so perhaps damp dew. Nor udi te phonesai dunaman, nor was I able to say anything. Ud hoson en hupno knudziuntai phonunta philon poti matera tekna. Nor just like, or just as, or sorry, perhaps not so much as a tekna, literally children, in their sleep. Kunodziuntai, again a funny word, normally used of dogs whimpering, but it's kunudzaamai is the verb. So not as much as babies, as young children, whimper in their sleep, calling for their dear mother, calling upon their dear mother. Al epagain de kudi kalon kroa pantothin isa. This is from Pag Numi, it's to become stiff here. But I became stiff, well, like to, equal to a doll, so like a doll, in my beautiful flesh, pantothin everywhere. So all my beautiful flesh grew stiff, like a doll, equal to that of a doll. And then the refrain, Frasdiamu toneroth hothin hiketa potna salana. Kaime es idon horstorgos epiktonos oma paxas. Eds hedzet epiclinteri kai edzomenos phartomuthon. Now this is for astorgos. Sturgo is one of these verbs of loving. This is the a noun from this with a vowel gradation. So the unloving one, so perhaps the unfaithful lover, having seen me, paxas from paignumi, having fixed his eyes, epiktonos, on the ground, he sat on the bed, and having sat there, he spoke a word, phartomuthon. Rame Simaitha, we get this toson hoson construction here, and it's made more complicated by this epthasas from phthino. It's a very difficult word to translate. So I'm going to perhaps start here. Now the pran is for proane, the other day. Thane is a bit like day, and the poca is just this adverbial indefinite. So it's something like, just as I, the other day, trachone, when running, for trechone, I beat the beautiful Philinus. So just as I, the other day in fact, got ahead of Philinus, the beautiful Philinus, as I was in the running, as I was running, toson, so epthasas, you got in before me. So you got in first before, you got in first, calling me, there's the me up here, to your house, to this your house, before I was present. This is the infinitive here, before me, to be present. This is the infinitive from parami. So just to do that bit again, because it's quite hard. So just as I, in fact, the other day, I got ahead of beautiful Philinus when I was running, thus you got in first, inviting me to this your house before I turned up, before I was present, before me to be present. Fradzia mu tone rod hothen hiketa potna solana. Ainthon for ailthon, for I would have come, and we get nigh with an oath. Yes, I would have come by sweet love. Now, this is idiomatic here, literally being a third or fourth friend. In other words, I would have come with, inclusive counting, 2 or 3 friends, autica, immediately, nuktos, by night. So I would have come, yes, by sweet love, I would have come either with 2 or 3 friends then at night, frulasson, literally guarding, perhaps protecting, or keeping, mala, apples, the apples of Dionysus in my bosom, and having a lucan. Now a lucan here is a white poplar. So having a white poplar krati on my head, the Hieron Ernos, the sacred sprig, it's a young plant of Heracles, and then in opposition to the lucan we get helictan, which is twisted or twined. Peri is adverbial here, all about, pantothin, everywhere, with crimson or purple. So strycin is something like bands or ribbons, possibly bands of wood. It's very a vague word here, it just means something that encircles. So bands, probably. Fradzia mu tone roth hothen hiketop hotna solana. kai ke. Now the ke goes with the hudon later on. So if you received me from Decamai, these things were dear. So this would have been wonderful. And then we've got in brackets here for, and he's a bit full of himself here, for I am called Elaphros, probably nimble here, reference to his running prowess. For I am called nimble and beautiful by all the young men of my age. And now here's the ket kicks in with the hudon. I would have slept if only the ket goes with the ephile, so I had kissed your beautiful mouth. But if you pushed me away from Othio, Allah, to another place, so elsewhere, and the door, aketo passive, was held with a crowbar, with a lock or a bolt, sometimes a crowbar, perhaps a lock here. The door was held tight with a lock. Pantos, perhaps nevertheless, even pelekes, axes, and lampades, torches, and the cart goes with the verb, would have come humias, against you. And we have again the refrain, Fras diomur ton eroth hoten hiketo potna salana. And we'll continue this in the next recording.